Pritzker. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Klobuchar. Senator Lee? I'm sorry, I think maybe Senator Cornyn is first. You two want to work it out?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's important we focus on what we're actually discussing today. We are talking about procedures that culminate in and have as their sole intended purpose the termination of a baby's life. These are babies. It's also important that we recognize, in response to those who have said that the Dobbs decision was somehow undemocratic, nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, the Dobbs decision was a victory for Republican democracy. There really is no way to argue otherwise with any credibility. What the court did in Dobbs was to return this question of whether or in what circumstances abortion will be allowed, returning that back to the people and to their elected lawmakers. This is a decision that is not taken off the table by the Constitution. And because it's not taken off the table by the Constitution, it belongs to the people, who can exercise that decision through their elected lawmakers. The American people will now be able to say whether and in what circumstances and in what places abortion will be regulated. This is how Republican democracy in America works. This is how our republic was always intended and established to function. Justice Alito, my former boss, in his well-written majority opinion, explained this point well. He said, quote, "Our decision returns the issue of abortion to those legislative bodies, and it allows women on both sides of the abortion issue to seek to affect the legislative process by influencing public opinion, lobbying legislators, voting and running for office," close quote. That's at page 65 of the Dobbs majority opinion. Seems to me that the abortion industry and the left and those incumbent politicians whose campaigns are funded by the abortion industry have gone to great lengths to scare the American people, convincing them that Dobbs does something that it doesn't do. It saddens me that they're doing all of this for the cause of saying that it's okay, and in fact it's protected by the Constitution, to exterminate, to extinguish an unborn human life. It makes me wonder whether those making these scurrilous arguments are simply afraid of American Republican democracy, simply afraid of the American people, simply afraid that when able to make this decision on their own, freed from the judicial oligarchy that has reigned over this era, this area of the law for the last 49 years, that they won't make the same decision that the radical left would make. That seems to me to be the most plausible explanation for why they're so upset and why they're calling it undemocratic. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's also important to note that this reign falls disproportionately on some communities. It falls disproportionately on some races more than others. Black babies are at greater risk of being aborted than white babies. A New York City Health Department report, one that was released just about 4 years ago, found that between 2012 and 2016, when this study was conducted, that black mothers aborted 136,426 babies, while giving birth to only 118,127 babies. That's right, thousands of more black babies were aborted than born in New York City during that relevant time period. It shouldn't come as a surprise as you consider that Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, was a big fan of eugenics, and her plans were not what anyone would want to defend today on that front. She's someone who wanted to, quote unquote, assist the race toward the elimination of the unfit. These are not laudable goals. Ms. Harley, these reports on the black women, the rate at which black women in New York City are getting abortions, they're heartbreaking, they're breathtaking. I hope to see states enacting stronger protections for life, including, among other things, laws prohibiting abortions based on the race, sex, or disability of the baby. I hope these laws would protect all babies, including black babies. So in your view, Ms. Harley, is race, sex, or disability a valid reason for aborting an unborn baby?
Absolutely not. No one should be discriminated against based on their race or their sex or their genetic makeup. Certainly no one should be killed because of any of those factors. These are the sorts of laws that states have been attempting to pass to protect the most vulnerable citizens from fatal, lethal discrimination simply based on who they are or what they might look like. And this is what Roe has blocked states from doing. The people of the states were enacting, voting for lawmakers who would enact these good policies, and Roe was blocking it. But now the power has been given back to the people of the states to choose the sort of life-affirming, life-protecting policies that they want in their states and in their communities.
Mr. Chairman, I see my time's expired. I do want to note that what Ms. Harley just said is very legitimate, and the doomsday calls from those on the left are ignoring common sense. They're ignoring what human instinct tells us about protecting the most vulnerable among us. Members of this committee, including some who are now attacking the Dobbs decision, once shared these views. And so, Mr. Chairman, as I wrap up my remarks, I ask unanimous consent to submit for the record a copy of a letter that you wrote on August 4th, 1989, in which you said, among other things, quote, "I believe we should end abortion on demand," and, quote, "I continue to believe the Supreme Court's decision in Roe versus Wade should be reversed." Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, I thank Senator Lee, and now Senator Haruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lieutenant Governor Stratton, I